In Oak Hollow, the autumn leaves displayed a riot of colors, painting the small town in hues of red, orange, and gold. The day before Halloween was always special, filling the air with a mix of excitement and the sweet scent of pumpkin spice lattes from the local cafe. Lucy, Jake, and Mia, three best friends since their days in the local kindergarten, had been granted the rare privilege to explore Mrs. Thompson's attic. This space above the town library was rumored to house an eclectic mix of ancient books, curiosities, and mysterious trinkets. Jake's eyes widened with astonishment as he unearthed a book that seemed to be decades, if not centuries, old. The book was heavy, its weight suggesting that it was filled with more than just paper. "You guys have to see this," Jake said, carefully blowing off a layer of dust that seemed as ancient as the book itself. The air in the attic grew still, as if even the dust particles were holding their breath. The book seemed to beckon them, its faded cover adorned with cryptic symbols and patterns that looked almost arcane. Both Lucy and Mia leaned in to get a better look, their eyes meeting for just a moment as they acknowledged the unspoken sense that they were about to dive into something extraordinary. Deciding they couldn't resist the lure of the ancient book any longer, Lucy took a deep breath and carefully opened the cover. The pages crackled with age as she flipped through them, and the trio felt as though time itself held its breath. The text was mostly unreadable, filled with archaic language and interspersed with intricate illustrations that seemed to come alive as they stared. Each drawing depicted various mythical creatures and symbols, some eerily familiar and others utterly bizarre. Jake cautiously pointed to an incantation written in a script that was almost but not quite comprehensible. The room seemed to darken momentarily as he read it out loud, and an unsettling hush fell over the attic. Suddenly, a subtle glow emanated from the book, illuminating the trio's faces with a gentle, otherworldly light. They could feel an unseen presence in the room, as if someone, or something, had been waiting for this moment. With a faint shimmering sound, a translucent figure materialized before them. It was ethereal, gentle, and somehow comforting, despite its ghostly appearance. "Greetings," it said softly, causing Lucy, Jake, and Mia to jump despite the calm nature of the apparition. The ethereal figure extended what seemed to be a hand towards the trio, and they felt an odd sense of trust emanating from it. "I am a guardian of lost stories," the figure announced, its voice both melodious and haunting. Lucy, Jake, and Mia exchanged surprised glances, their minds racing with questions. "Lost stories?" Mia finally broke the silence, curiosity overcoming her initial apprehension. The Guardian explained that the book was a portal to forgotten worlds, places that had been erased from collective memory but were preserved in its ancient pages. "Every story needs a hero, and I've been waiting for someone brave enough to venture into these lost realms," it said. The notion of forgotten worlds and lost stories filled the room with an atmosphere of both excitement and foreboding. Could they be the heroes this Guardian spoke of? The three friends felt both honored and overwhelmed by the magnitude of the decision before them. After a shared glance and a nod of unspoken agreement, they turned back to the Guardian. "We'll do it," Lucy announced, her voice tinged with both resolve and a hint of uncertainty. "We will venture into these forgotten worlds." The Guardian's form seemed to ripple with delight as it heard their agreement. With a wave of its hand, the attic around them began to blur and dissolve, as if they were stepping through a veil between worlds. Before they knew it, the trio found themselves in an entirely new realm. Towering trees with leaves that shimmered like gemstones surrounded them, and the air was thick with a magical energy they had never felt before. They took their first steps in this forgotten world cautiously, each step crunching on the ground as if walking on a blend of crystals and autumn leaves. They felt both enchanted and slightly uneasy, aware that they were trespassers in this mystical domain. Strange, melodious sounds filled the air, as if the very forest was welcoming them. But amidst the beauty and allure, a sense of responsibility weighed on them. They were here for a purpose, and they could not afford to be entranced by the realm's splendor alone. Reaching into her pocket, Lucy pulled out the ancient book they had discovered. It felt heavier here, as if absorbing the energy of the forgotten world around them. "This is where the real adventure begins," Jake said, echoing the sentiment that all three were feeling. The book in Lucy's hands suddenly sprang to life, its pages flipping wildly before settling on a particularly intricate illustration. It depicted a monumental structure that bore a striking resemblance to a temple they could see in the distance. The trio felt an overwhelming urge to move towards it. Each step they took seemed to resonate with the energy around them, as if the forgotten world itself was guiding them to their destiny. When they finally reached the temple, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The air was thick with anticipation, and a sense of reverence filled the space. Whatever awaited them inside would undoubtedly change their lives forever. As they stepped into the temple, they were greeted by an overwhelming array of colors, sounds, and sensations. It was as if the forgotten world was putting on a grand display, celebrating their courage and heralding the restoration of its lost stories. With a sense of awe and profound humility, they approached a dais at the center of the temple. Upon it rested a radiant orb that seemed to contain the essence of all the lost stories. As they touched it together, a rush of energy surged through them, and they knew that their adventure was just the beginning of something far greater.